Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Today we've got another donation deck for you. Somebody noticed that I've not really played Naya Depths on the channel before, so they sent me a list to play. The reason I haven't played Naya Depths before is because it operates quite differently to the Depths decks I'm used to. So I'm just not very good at the deck, in my opinion. It's a very good deck though, so it's something I should probably learn at some point. Well, the version we've been submitted is quite an interesting one with a lot of options, so let's go into it. So this deck is kind of like a mid-rangey green-white deck with a lot of utility and options. But we do have some Thespian Stage and Dark Depths, so we can just make the 2020 and win with that. But that's not our only plan. That's kind of like something that we sort of sidestep into usually, but we can support it through various ways. So we've got a whole bunch of utility lands, which becomes clear when you see that we've got 4 Elvish Reclaimer and 4 Knight of the Reliquary. So both of these give us a really strong lands package. So we've got a Maze of Ith, 2 Sejiri Steppes, so we can force through our own creatures as well as our own little creatures as well as our own big creature in the 2020, and protect through removal as well. We've got a Dryad Arbor, which is pretty standard in Green Sun Zenith decks. We've got the Paducah Bog. Again, if we do turn 1 Reclaimer, we can just hold up Paducah Bog for pretty much the rest of the game, which is something that I got beaten by the other day when I was playing a Reanimator list. We've got a couple of Wastelands that we can recur using Ramunap Excavator as well. And then we've got Karakas as well. The rest of it's just sort of mana with a few fetch lands thrown in that we can obviously reuse with Ramunap Excavator as well. So fundamentally we're looking at a Green Sun Zenith deck, right? So we have Green Sun Zenith. We can go in for the Dryad Arbor on 0, then we've got a whole bunch on 1. So we've got these 4 Elvish Reclaimers and this Sylvan Safekeeper, which we can use to protect our creatures. If you're not familiar with this one, you sack a land and you give a creature Shroud. We've got an Outland Liberator, which is a very powerful singleton that can really mess up a lot of decks that aren't expecting this sort of effect in the main deck. And if it flips over, it's just brutal for a lot of matchups. Then we go up to 3, so we've got a single Endurance to mess with graveyards alongside our Paducah Bog. So we've got 2 different pieces of main deck graveyard hate there, and they're accessible with multiple cards. We've obviously got the Knight of the Reliquary, which is our primary threat most of the time, as well as being just a utility tutor box that does all sorts of things for us. And we have the 1 Ramunap Excavator that we mentioned that can let us rebuy our Wastelands. We've got 3 of these Wastelands here. And we've obviously got fetch lands and stuff too. So we've got quite a lot of options here. And then we have this Thalia, which is the new one. So I have not played with this one before. So this is 1 white, black, green for a 4/4 first strike death touch. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Creatures and non-basic lands your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. Whenever this creature attacks, sacrifice a land or a creature, then draw a card. So we're going to hopefully be using this as like a sort of draw engine later on after we've sort of got through all our opponent's stuff. To grease the wheels a little bit, we've got a single copy of Sylvan Library, which is a very powerful effect that you don't really want in multiples, so having the singleton makes some sense. And we've got a little bit of removal in here in the form of 2 Assassin's Trophies, 4 Swords to Plowshares. And then we also have 4 crop rotations to go with our other bits, so we've got a really dense land package of lots of things. One thing I should mention about the way this deck operates is that we can kind of cheat on mana a little bit because of Flagstones. So if we sacrifice Flagstones to something like a Reclaimer or an Elvish, an Elvish Reclaimer, or we sacrifice it to the Knight of the Reliquary, then we can go and get ourselves a plane as well as a thing we're tutoring for. Knight of the Reliquary can only sacrifice forests or plains, but Yavimaya, a relatively new card, means that we can make the Flagstones into a forest, which then can be sacrificed to the Knight. So we can be doing a lot of stuff with lands. Like, I imagine a lot of our games are going to be won with the depth stage, but it's kind of won and lost in all the tutoring and finding stuff. That's my experience playing against this deck. I think I've only played this deck once before. We do also have Mox Diamonds as a 3-of just to sort of accelerate us out and get into the early Knight of the Reliquaries and mess our opponents up. So continuing on with the theme of the main deck, the sideboard is also full of a lot of singletons and silver bullets. So we've got 1 Collector Roof to go alongside our Outland Liberator for artifact decks. We have a Scavenging Ooze for more graveyard hate. We have a Seeds of Innocence as another way of blowing up artifacts. We have 3 Force of Vigor, more artifact destruction, can also blow up enchantments like Blood Moon and stuff if necessary. We have 2 Choke because we're not a blue deck, so we get to play these really, really brutal hate cards like this. We've got another Endurance when we're playing against graveyard decks. We have a Grist. I'm surprised this one is in the main a little bit, But I guess we have to make room for Thalia somewhere. But this grist is a powerful tool. It's very flexible. You find it off of the Green Sun Zenith. We have one Field of the Dead, presumably for longer games where we just want to sort of grind our way through, like Control. That's what the Field of the Dead is going to be for. We have a Glacial Chasm, which can protect us from big things attacking us. Well, it doesn't stop them attacking it stops them dealing damage, which is an important distinction, I would say. So this is going to be useful against some aggro decks like Madness and things like that. And we can also fetch it in a pinch to block like a Marit Lage attack on us, and then we can try and find some Karakas and stuff. We've got options there. Then we have the Tower of the Magistrate, which can make equipment fall off of our opponent's creatures, or it can make our 2020 sail through a field of Thopters. So we've got a lot of tools, a lot of ways for me to not necessarily know what we're doing. Oh, sorry, we also have these two prismatic endings, which are pretty flexible removal spells too. So we've got a lot of options in this deck. It's very much a deck where you need to know what you're doing and know what all your lines are, because there are so many of them. Now, obviously, I don't really know what they are. I've watched a little bit of videos of people playing this deck, and I've played against it lots of times. So hopefully we can cobble together something, but either way, it should be interesting to watch me tackle it with my more turbo depth brain and see how we handle it. Alright, before we jump into a league, like, comment, subscribe. These things cost you nothing and help me out. And if you want to help me out financially, I have a Patreon that's linked below. You can just give me a couple of quid a month to say sort of thanks for making content. That's great. Or you can wait a little bit longer, and I'm going to have a primer for Green-Black Turbo Depths going up. That's going to have loads of really good stuff that you might want to get your hands on. You can also become a member of the YouTube channel, or via the Discord link below, you can message me and get a donation deck. I'm currently doing donation decks for £15 at the moment. So if you want to see your deck on here like this person did with this deck, then by all means get in touch. Alright, let's play some Legacy. So this is our opening hand. We're on the draw. We do have an ability to do sort of Ramunap Excavator shenanigans. We've got a little bit of removal. I think we're... This is a tricky one to know if we're supposed to keep this. It feels like one of the ones we're probably not supposed to keep, right? We kind of need more inroads into the game. But we've got half of a combo here. And we do have a combo of Wasteland Ramunap Excavator. And I love Wastelanding people. So I think I'm going to keep this. Maybe that's wrong. But we can crop rotate away our flagstones and sort of cheat on mana and go up the curve a little bit. Okay, our opponent is led off on an Underground Sea, which usually means something like Doomsday, which I have to imagine is going to be a problematic matchup for us, because they can kind of combo underneath what we're doing quite easily. So we have to make a decision what we're doing here. I think the play here is just to wasteland our opponent and keep them off of mana. Another Ponder from our opponent. They shuffled off the first one, so let's see what they do with this one. They shuffled off this one as well. Okay. Green Sun Zenith. Am I alright with the Green Sun Zenith here? So I think we want the Savannah. We can always get the Bayou off the Windswept Heath we've got in hand. We're looking at our mana base. Maybe we actually do want the Bayou here. In terms of all the other things we've got. Yeah, I think we get the Bayou. And then we have a choice. We can Green Sun Zenith for Dryad Arbor now. So the reason I want to do this now is because of Opposition Agent. I don't think our opponent's going to be wastelanding us when they've done double Underground Sea here. I think we do just want to accelerate our mana out so we can get to this Ramunap Excavator plan. Because I think if we can start wastelanding our opponent, then it's going to be a little bit more tricky for them to win the game. So next turn we can Flagstones, turn it into a wasteland and get our opponent a Baleful Strix. This could be just Tempo Doomsday, but the triple Underground Sea does make me think we are looking at a Doomsday rather than a sort of Death Shadow type deck. So we have some choices here. I think we play out the Flagstones and then pass. And then we can Assassin's Trophy if that's a thing we need to do. Alternatively, we can crop rotate away our Flagstones, getting additional mana for that, and then we can untap, play the Ramunap, and start wastelanding our opponent. So we can go have 2 lands plus a 3rd land for Ramunap, and then double wasteland our opponent. Which should be pretty annoying for them to deal with, but they might have sculpted a counterspell by this point. A Brainstorm, sure. Alright, so they got Fetch Land after their Brainstorm, so they get to shuffle away the bad cards they don't want. And another Baleful Strix. So we can cut our opponent off of blue if our plan works this turn. So let's try it. crop rotate away this Flagstones. So I think we're looking at a Savannah here. And then do we get our crop rotation off? We do. So we could go and get a combo piece, but I do quite like the idea of just double wastelanding on this turn. So the reason we float that one is in case of things like days. Right, let's try and cast this one. There's a strong possibility this doesn't resolve, but if it does, our opponent's going to have a pretty bad time. Okay, so we will play out our Wasteland. Let's just keep taking their lands away from them. This is how I like to play Magic the Gathering. Strip all your opponent's resources. Okay. Now, the problem is Doomsday can win from this sort of position. Not necessarily immediately. They might not be Doomsday there, but I do think they are. A game for little beats now. We do need some more action. So we have a Wasteland, or we can have this Flagstones. I think we're looking at just playing the Wasteland here. And then we can attack the Dryad Arbor. If they want to trade here, that's fine by me. Yeah, by keeping the fetch land uncracked, it does cause us a little bit of issue. We can play our fetch land and thin our deck a little bit, but we don't have much in the way of fetchables left. Right, so they've got a basic there. Alright, maybe they're just some sort of... I don't know, there could be like a breakfast deck even. Do I care about this? Do I think they have another island in their deck? I don't think they do. I'm kind of tempted to Assassin's Trophy away their island here. I guess we let this resolve. Do I want to Assassin's Trophy away their island? If I think they're a Doomsday deck, I think that's correct to do so. Definitely get punished here, but if they don't have another island, then this is going to be a problem for them. Okay. No more islands in their deck. No more basic lands of any kind. So, now what? I think we're just playing out this Windswept Heath. We can go to attacks and trade here. Is that useful for us? I think it's fine to trade here. Okay. So we're probably going to crack the Windswept Heath in our opponent's turn and thin our deck a little bit. The only thing that matters about fetch lands in our deck is the one of Sylvan Library. As well as just knights being of a certain size. Okay, so they've got a blue source there. But we do get to Wasteland it off. And we have a follow-up Wasteland. What does this do? Exile 2 cards from a single graveyard. You gain 2 life, at least 1 creature. Exile target non-land permanent with mana value 1 or less. Deals damage to target player, even number of cards exiled. Okay. This could be a little bit of a problem for us. Okay. This now. The thinning is marginal, but I think it's worth having right there. Knight of the Reliquary. So we waste this one for the purposes of days. We go to attacks. We need to get these gone. Alright, so that's one of them gone. I think we play out this. We've got one more fetchable. We don't want to show them the Wasteland now necessarily. We want them to play a land and then us be able to hit it with our other Wasteland. Alright. So the Knight of the Reliquary can find us our combo. Yeah, so they're shrinking our knight with these, but we can't really attack into Belfast Strix. Although we do have the Sejiri Steppe, which hopefully will mess them up a little bit. I think we do fire off this Windswept Heath because we need to get enough cards in our graveyard here to make sure our Knight of the Reliquary can kill the Kaya. What is this going to be? Prismatic Ending. Yep, that's pretty good. There goes that plan. So now we have to decide if we want to fetch to thin here, which isn't really much of a thing, or we want to have this as a... The problem is if we draw the land, the one land we have left, then we're going to feel pretty bad, right? About having a fetch land that doesn't do anything in play. Sylvan Library. Let's play this Wasteland out first. Say no to Wastelands. This Kai is probably just going to win the game against us here. We have drawn pretty badly here, but that's the problem when you're a non-blue deck. You don't have the filtering. Now, we do have the filtering because of the library, so that's something we can leverage. But it's not looking amazing for us. But our opponent, if they miss on blue, mana for a turn. which it looks like they have done. It's going to give us a foothold to get back in, but we have to deal with this Kaya somehow. We do have Assassin's Trophies. Obviously, we burned one of them earlier to take our opponent off of blue mana. Right, Sylvan Library. Okay, this is a good draw so far. Yes to Sylvan Library. Sure, I'm going to keep all of these, I think. We just need to power through. So, I think we'll play out Savannah first. They won't really care about the Reclaimer because they'll just use their Kaya for it is the issue. We need to leave up green mana here. So we'll do white, green and colourless. And then we'll use the Savannah or this probably this one actually. We can represent Swords to Plowshares as well. So we can get our 2020 next turn. And we can push it through with a Sejiri Steppe turn after. So that's probably our route to victory here. We can certainly come unstuck. How many cards are in exile? 6. Oh, have I just messed this up by paying 4 with this actually? No, we get the Maze of Ith here, right? And kill the Kaya. I think the Scrubland is probably the least exciting land here. So we get Maze of Ith. We stop ourselves from dying this turn. Yeah, maybe we're not supposed to pay all that for the Sylvan Library, but if we can attack into this Kaya, there's 6 cards. Wait, what? Have I misread this card? Target player equals the number of cards that player owns. I thought there was only 6 cards in exile. Oh no, there was 8 cards in exile. Ah, yes. No, we were dead there. That's unfortunate. Oh, I think I was looking at the loyalty counters. It's not that. All right. We just got handled there. Like, we did just draw nothing but lands, right? Let's go to begin sideboarding. So, what do we want here? Grist is a nice tool that we can work with. Field of the Dead. If this game's going to go long, I don't think our opponent is... I think our opponent is just a control deck. So I think the Field of the Dead is going to be useful here. Instant speed threats are interesting to me. The chokes are an obvious include. The Prismatic Endings can deal with Kaya. So these are things that I am interested in. I don't think we need 4 Swords to Plowshares here. We can trim 2 of those for endings. I don't think... Like, the Outland Liberator is okay versus... Actually, do we want this Sylvan Safekeeper? I think we do probably need it. Or any of these lands that we don't require. They haven't shown us any legends we want to bounce yet. So we might be able to trim a Karakas here. Usually trim a land. They haven't shown us anything in their graveyard. But I have to imagine they've got something like a Murktide in there. So let's just take out a Karakas. Although the Karakas can bounce our own Thalia if that's a thing we're interested in. I don't know if it is. But I think I'd rather have... Alternatively, bring in the Field of the Dead. We could strip out maybe a Bajuka... yeah, strip out the... Fine. Alright, we need to be a bit quicker about this one. So we got the Grist, the Endurance, and the Chokes. The Chokes have to come in here. I think the Ramunap Excavator is very good. Maybe the Outland Liberator isn't necessarily where we want to be. So we need 3 more cuts. I don't really like crop rotation versus control decks very much. So let's board those out and just try and present a bunch of threats. Maybe we could board out this last crop rotation for Scavenging Ooze. Or we can have the Outland Liberator back in instead of the Ooze, because that can deal with the Baleful Strixes. If we flip it, it can just attack into them over and over again. What does this hand do? This hand looks interesting to me. We have a Green Sun Zenith into what is the question, I guess. Like, we're keeping this. I'm just trying to work out if we actually want this Green Sun Zenith on 1. We want to cast the library on 2, which means we probably are casting the Green Suns on 1. We could have used the Yavimaya here. I don't want to give our opponent... So I don't think... Like, the one reason we might want to play the Yavimaya there is in case we get the Dark Depths in our next hand, but I quite like to have... I want to be getting our colours diversified to try and cast this Thalia. So... Swamp, we're going to get Thought Seized. Okay, so what are we losing here? I imagine it's probably Library. That's the best card in our hand by quite a margin. I think you just snap that off straight away. Although if they have a Prismatic Ending, they might let us just play the Library and then they can just ending it straight away. Which won't feel amazing for us. If we can draw a Choke, we can possibly slam that. Our opponent isn't a Daze deck by looking at their configuration. They're more into sort of removing our stuff and going up the curve rather than messing with soft permission. They took the Thalia. Interesting. That means they probably have the ending for the Library, I reckon. And the ending for the Library, they don't have the ending for the next thing. We'll play out the stage this time around. Play out the Library. We're expecting this to get endinged. We get one miserly damage in. And it's our opponent's turn. No blue mana as of yet. Yep, so there's the ending exactly like I predicted. A green Sun Zenith that we can jam for... I'm just trying to think. Do I want this Yavimaya? This makes our opponent have prismatic endings for 3 much more easily. So I think we play this forest and see if we can get ourselves a Knight of the Reliquary here. The other option is Grist, but they both die to prismatic ending. But I think the upside of this untapping is that we can make a Marit Lage, which is a bit higher than the Grist. Alright, so now they can prismatic ending for 3 if they want to. They can also plow this and they can't plow Grist. Alright, this is... Oh no, it's a Teferi. That's not so bad. If they bounce this, we kill their Teferi with the Dryad Arbor. And they know that going in because we already have the Yavimaya in hand. Oh, that is a very tempting one there. Let's attack Teferi here. Our opponent's only got 1 island there, though. If they'd had a removal spell for the Knight, I think they would have dropped it already. So I think we will jam the Knight again. Because that Teferi was basically just like a repulse because they knew it was dying to Dryad Arbor. So I think if they had a clean answer for the Knight of the Reliquary, they use it there instead. And then they get the Teferi out on a board where it can maybe live. So now we're looking more at jamming a Choke down our opponent's throat. If I tap both their blue sources here. 4 mana. Jace the Mind Sculptor. That's a pretty good card. Alright, so they're bouncing our Knight of the Reliquary. Alright, this is pretty good for us. I think we want to attack the Jace. Now we have a lot of choices here. So we can make Dark Depths, or we can make the Choke, or we can make the Knight. We're not blinking the Outland Liberator, that's not where we want to be. The Choke shuts 2 of our opponent's mana sources off. That's a lot. And if the Jace bounces this, it will die anyway. Let's drop this Choke. We're leaving these up so they might live in fear of a Spirit Guide. Actually, no, I think they know our hand, right? I think they've seen the Outland Liberator. So they can brainstorm here with their Jace if they want to. Fate Sealing isn't that great right now. They can Fate Seal and then shuffle it away if they don't want. Well, they can Fate Seal it away anyway, so they don't need to shuffle it. But they could brainstorm and shuffle. But then their Jace will die unless they have a removal spell for the Dryad Arbor. But if they use a removal spell on the Dryad Arbor, they're not removing our Marit Lage necessarily. So it feels like we're okay. Yeah, so the brainstorm. And then we know they didn't have a removal spell for the Knight of the Reliquary. They were just trying to bounce it over and over. So they're definitely looking for something. They might not have much they can fetch with this Polluted Delta that won't get tapped down by the Choke either. Let's see if they've got a source that is not an island. They do not. They could Prismatic Ending our Choke here. Alright, just a little Baleful Strix. A Wasteland. I'm interested in this Wasteland. We'll waste their Scrubland. We'll play this Liberator. Force of Will on the Liberator, is it? I'm going to jam... We're not living in fear of any sort of mass sweeper here. Just going to play out this Knight. This will attack the Jace. It's just going to eat the Baleful Strix here. But again, that's fine. That's one less thing we have to push through with our Dark Depths. So our opponent is down to 1 mana source and a Jace. I think all the mana sources left in their deck outside of basic planes will get locked down by the choke. I'm pretty sure their setup is 1 Scrubland, 1 of each basic, and then Underground Seas and Tundras. Alright. We're seeing a Brainstorm. Right, so they've got a land they can play. But we're pretty much turning all of their mana sources into Lotus Petals here. Let's see what they find with their Delta. They get Tundra, they might be ploughing our creature. Which is annoying, but we can certainly work around that. Sure. Mox Diamond. That doesn't do anything for us. So we'll pass the turn. We now have a choice of whether or not we make the Marit Lage and try and end the game here. The fact that our opponent has just found a mana source that can find them white mana is a little bit sketchy. It can only find Tundra though. I imagine there probably is another Tundra in our opponent's deck. But if there isn't, then they can't plough our Marit Lage. Alright, we're going for another Brainstorm here. They might be dead, they might not be. The best draw for them, if they don't have an actual clean removal spell for the Marit Lage, is a Baleful Strix, because they can put that in front and we can't jam into it because they'll block it for 1 turn and then they'll just bounce it with a Jace, which is not really where I want to be. Okay, so making a 2020 here, unless we draw exactly Sejiri Steppe, would be bad, because we don't have crop rotations to find it either. Okay, so we've got a Knight here. We'll talk like this, make them live in fear of Spirit Guide, making a 2020. Alright, so they have the Force of Will, pitching another Baleful Strix. This one is slipping away from us a bit here. Even though our opponent's got very little mana to work with. This Jace on the board is doing some work. Now we do have access to Assassin's Trophy. If we can find the Assassin's Trophy, that will give them their planes out of their deck. But it will strip the Jace off the board. I can't imagine they have that many more actual mana sources in their deck. It's just very hard to keep up with this Jace card advantage here. They're attacking. Very disrespectful. What if we had an Elvish Spirit Guide and made it 2020? Maybe they have that covered though. We have a plains. Is that important to me? I would rather... The problem with playing out the Mox Diamond here is that it can get bounced by Teferi. But what this does do is give us the option to Prismatic Ending with an additional colour. So I think we hold this in hand and pass a turn. The Baleful Strix is unlikely to attack. Right, so they're shuffling away the cards that they put on top from their Brainstorm with the Jace last turn. What they could do here is start Fate Sealing with the Jace. No, I'm still going for the Brainstorms. Because if they just Fate Seal once, then they can have a Jace that can bounce something without dying, which would be pretty good. Yep, so they're not attacking because they don't want to die to Dark Depths. A Wasteland. Let's get rid of their Underground Sea. And we'll continue this little dance, shall we? How many of these Underground Seas will they have in their deck? So they can have 1 more Underground Sea and 2 more Tundra maximum in their deck. And they have the basic planes that they haven't found yet. I think they're supposed to Fate Seal here. There we go. They're targeting us. Oakley dokley. So we're going to... What we should have done earlier as well was use our Thespian stage targeting the swamp so that we have the mana for a prismatic ending. So we have 4 colours. Elvish Reclaimer. Our opponent didn't seem to mind us having this Elvish Reclaimer, which is a bit sad for us. But this can represent a Sejiri Steppe. Now they're going for a Brainstorm here. Now they've sort of got the Jace up to ability where it won't die to 1 hit. I don't think we make it this turn. I think we wait until we can do it with Sejiri Steppe backup. So we'll make it the end of turn, then we'll use the Sejiri Steppe to force it through the Baleful Strix. Surprised they gave us this Reclaimer though. It's making me wonder, what am I missing here? Here we go for this. Keep this one. Make it 2020, as I've done many times before in this channel. Prismatic Ending. Okay. This works too. White, green. This means we can hold up the Elvish Reclaimer as a removal spell, as a protection from removal if they have something for 0 mana here. Alright. Bit of a grind. We've got 10 minutes left on the clock. Do you want to change anything? I don't think so. I don't mind the Liberator here. Haven't really shown us much in the way of win conditions. Do we just want to keep presenting threats? I don't think we want these plows at all, actually. I think I'd rather have... let's take a Scavenging Ooze. And... Collector Ooze not going to do anything here. It's just going to shut ourselves down a little bit. We'll take a Tower of Magistrate. Just as another way of forcing our way through those little owls. Let's try this one. We have no starting green mana, so I think we have to mulligan this one. This has starting green mana, but it's not quite what I want. But I think we'll keep it still. What are we bidding back here? Oh wait, no, we probably shouldn't have kept this one. I think we'll throw back the Endurance. We certainly have the ability to be punished for this keep. But this game should be a slow game. We needed this to be a forest. Would have been alright then, because we can at least Green Sun Zenith for the Dryad Arbor. We only have the one Dryad Arbor. Wasteland. Is that the game I want to play? I think so. We just want to slow this game down a little bit. Try and get some clock back. Alright. Let's play this one out. Plow is going to ruin us here. So we could have kept the Wasteland so we could play the Sylvan Library. But if we're not drawing lands when we got 30 lands in our deck, then what are we doing, right? I think we should have relatively high likelihood that, on average, our draw steps are going to be lands, right? Statistically speaking. A Windswept Heath. Our opponent hasn't shown us anything messing with our lands, so I think we just get the Savannah here. And we'll deploy this Sylvan Safekeeper. Not that we want to sacrifice our lands right now, but this might just be down for one and trade with one of the owls. Yeah, sure. Did not draw a second land. We will deploy this though. We don't have another Dryad Arbor to fetch, so we'll pass. Yavimaya would be a pretty good draw. Maybe this was a bit of a loose keep, I don't know. Feels like I had a lot of the tools we want. We just need to find mana, and our deck is mostly mana, so. Alright, they've got 2 basics, so we're unlikely to get them with like a Wasteland lock. Narset, okay. We didn't see Narset in the previous games. What are they going to find? Let's have a look. A Force of Will. Okay. We found a forest. Let's do a Green Sun Zenith for 1. Looking for an Elvish Reclaimer. This can get us a Yavimaya, which can give us more mana sources. We're just trying to make sure that we are using our clock a bit better as well. Our opponent is slightly got slightly more in their clock than we have. Looks like they're going to play the Jace this turn, which is a little bit awkward. That's going to bounce our Reclaimer. Yeah, there it is. 8 minutes is probably enough time to win if we can't string together some threats here. A mana source. Can we jam this? This is probably going to make our opponent Force of Will. It did not make our opponent Force of Will. That means our opponent might have a Prismatic Ending and they can just answer it cleanly. Right. Hopefully by the end of this turn we should have more time on our clock than our opponent. They're going for the Brainstorm here. They can hold up Hardcast Force of Will most likely because I haven't made a land drop yet this turn. First one's slipping away a little bit. But we've got a lot of gas in our hand. So if we can start stringing together some plays off of some land, I think we'll be alright. If our Sylvan Library gets to do its thing, then I'm okay with that. We don't get to do Sylvan Library because of Narset, of course. But our plan is to answer the Narset. So we'll play out Reclaimer. And we'll also play out Scavenging Ooze. So if we can get rid of this Narset, we can take over the game with the library. Looks like we're getting endinged. Yep. Are we going to have a plow or something for this ooze? Another ending, sure. So another turn. Our Sylvan Library's not going to do anything this turn. We can't draw extra cards, so we don't get that option anyway. We've still got this Force of Will. I think we will jam this Knight of the Reliquary. Play this land out. And pass. I can't imagine we're going to have this Knight of the Reliquary ready to do stuff next turn. Worst case scenario for them, they'll just bounce it with Jace. But if we can naturally draw into the Thespian stage, we'll be alright. I think when we made the Sylvan Library, I think that is the right play still there. Even though it doesn't have any immediate impact, it means that we could play 2 creatures on the same turn, which is going to be more effective against Jace. Monastery Mentor, that's a real creature, isn't it? And a Plow. Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good. How are we going to beat this Mentor? We can't grist it away just yet. Oh, Field of the Dead though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not nothing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go for a Green Sun Zenith. My opponent's got a load of cards in hand. They're kind of incentivized just to spend Force of Wills on stuff. Yeah. They still have a Force of Will in hand as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the next land should start making some guys. So lands are okay draws. Spells are okay draws, depending on what the spells are, I guess. Thespian Stage would be an interesting draw. But our opponent's going to try and string together a bunch of spells anytime soon and just kill us. Baleful Strix, yep, that's pretty bad for our Dark Depths plan. We can push through it with the Tower of the Magistrate, of course. It's not the be-all and end-all. But we need to find something. A land might even be better than most of the spells in our deck here. Alright, this is bad news for us. This is a lot of damage coming our way. So there's what, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 this turn. So our opponent's probably going to kill us within the next turn or 2 of their turns. Alright, so take a hit here. Alright, Thespian Stage. That was one of the cards I wanted to draw. Play this one out. So we need 1, 2. So we need 1, 2, and this. So that leaves us 3 mana. So we can play this Grist. Right, so this is black, green, 1 for Grist, which can give us a chump blocker if it resolves. It's the Force of Will we know about, presumably. Sure. Now this does give our opponent some more mentor triggers. We can't block with the Dark Depths here. How many cantrips can our opponent string together? So our plan is make the Marit Lage, use the Tower of the Magistrate to get past the Baleful Strix and hit our opponent for 20 damage. Our opponent has 8 cards in hand in the middle of this brainstorm they're resolving, so the likelihood of them being able to answer our stuff feels very high. I imagine this is the sort of matchup that's pretty good against the Nine Adepts because you can just kill the things that matter. Right, what we're looking at here. Definitely blocking. One, 2, 3, 4. So we're taking 8, 9 at the moment. They need to cast 2 more instants to kill us. They don't have a blocker for our Dark Depths token right now. What is this? It's a Fairy. Okay. What does that do here? This gives them instant speed prismatic ending. If that's what they have, we lose. There's nothing we can do about it. We're probably incentivized to do it right now. That's the ball game. Sure. Yeah, we got taken apart a little bit there. If we'd have drawn one of our many, many lands earlier on, we might have been alright, but such is life. Alright, let's go on to the second round. We're on the play. We have the ability to combo. I think we're supposed to keep this one. I think we lead out on Windswept Heath here. It's a relatively safe one. Can't be wastelanded. We can go crop rotate for a Paducah Bog in an emergency. Lotus Petal, is this going to be like 8 cast or Storm or Reanimator? Lotus Petal into Ponder, that could be something like Sneak and Show or Omni Show. Sylvan Safekeeper. Alright, let's crack this. We get stifled here? No. So do you want the Savannah or do you want this forest? I think I'll take a forest. I'm not sure what this Sylvan Library is going to resolve, but if it does, it's going to be pretty good. Alright, over to our opponent. Yeah, our opponent looks like they're somewhere on the Sneak and Show spectrum. Show and tell. We'll put in this Karakas. Okay. Assassin's Trophy is pretty good if we had a black source. We can find a black source using this crop rotation. So we'll pay 4 life to keep this. We'll put the... So crop rotate this away. Then we have 1/2 mana and we hold this up. We play a land for the turn. So I'll put this Reclaimer on top of the library, I think. Wait, do we have... This comes in tapped. Interesting. It's going to be difficult for this. I think we need to... Let's crop rotate this Flagstones away first. So we can go and get a black source here, in the Scrubland. So next turn we can do the Abrupt Decay, and maybe this turn we can go and get ourselves the Wasteland. And then this Wasteland gets rid of one of their red sources, so they can only put 1 red thing in this turn. Then we're left with 1 white mana that we kept by, just in case. Are we supposed to play out this Dark Depths or this Maze of Ith? I think we play out the Maze of Ith. It's a little bit cagier, but I think if our opponent has a Lotus Petal, maybe that's okay. Obviously, if they have Emrakul, then we're toast. They've got Emrakul, Lotus Petal, red source. Now, I don't have a red source of any description. That's pretty good for us. What do you got for us? Sylvan Library. The Bayou, which is one of the things we were going to get anyway. I think we'll put the Windswept Heath on top of our library. We'll keep this one. So we play this and play out the Bayou here, and then we jam the Reclaimer, and then we can blow up the sneak attack in our opponent's turn if we need to. I think because they're missing mana sources, it kind of makes me not want to do that, to be honest. But all right, let's scooping it up. Got them in a bit of a bind. So Sneak and Show, gonna be tough. They're probably going to be bringing in Magus of the Moon and potentially Blood Moon. I think Force of Vigor is a thing I'm kind of interested in. It blows up some of their bits and pieces. I don't think this is going to be a Grist matchup. Collect Roof has text. Isn't that exciting? Grist is something that can kill one of the big guys without actually being it. So maybe we do want the Grist. Glacial Chasm doesn't stop Emrakul from just absolutely ruining us. Our opponent is a deck with islands in, so the choke is okay. And then do one of these things. These can mop up some petals and things, and maybe some moons. What looks bad here is the next question. I don't think we need endurance. Thalia is probably a bit much here, right? I don't think that's where we want to be. I don't think we need Safekeeper in this matchup. So what does that get us? We want the Grist, 2 chokes. And then if we want the Force of Vigors, which I think we do, we're going to have to find some more cuts. Crop rotation is good for Karakas, but generally not great in these sorts of matches. I think we'll board out a couple of Plows. So this can nail Blood Moon or Sneak Attack or Omniscience. And the 2 Plows can hit like a Grizzlebrand in an emergency or a Maze of the Moon. I think these are going to be better than Prismatic Endings, but I think it's close. I don't really want to draw 2 of them though. Alright, we're going to go with this configuration. Our hand is like a generally good one, but doesn't actually interact with what our opponent's doing very much. Do we actually have much that does? I guess we can start reclaiming soon. I don't really know what a good hand in this matchup is going to look like. Is the problem. I have to imagine our opponent is heavily favoured here, right? Okay, the Force of Vigor is something. I'll take that. So we'll play this out. Next turn we can use Flagstones to accelerate into the combo on the following turn. So we play the Flagstones, turn it into a Thespian stage whilst getting an extra land, and then we can Dark Depths. If our opponent puts a Sneak Attack in, we do get a chance to try and blow it up. Alright, I think we just have the Flagstones in play here and pass. Holding up Force of Vigor and potentially getting the Karakas, if that's a thing we're interested in. Which might be. Our opponent could be doing Maze of the Moon shenanigans as well. Basic Island could be indicating that, or could just be insulation against Wastelands. What are we looking at, opponent? I'm hoping they've gone for like more of a Blood Moony type strategy, because we can probably get around that because of the Reclaimer. Red, 1. Brotherhood's End. Let's sacrifice this. We'll go and get basic planes in case they do have the Blood Moon pivot. And then this will go and find us. I think it's supposed to be the Thespian stage, right? I think we're supposed to represent winning the game next turn. Choke. Oh my god, that's so good. Our opponent can play Daze. I think this choke is so good that we want to just jam this instead of trying to make the combo right now. So we're going to try and play this around a Daze. This demands a Force of Will. Wow, they just scooped to the choke. Alright, hate cards are good. So we've got a win on the board. Not bad. That was a 2-0, I think. So let's go to round 3. This opening hand has no starting green mana, so it's an easy mulligan. Yeah, this is quite a quick way to get to the thing we're trying to get to. I think we're going to bin off a Thespian stage, because we already have one. This Sejiri Steppe is white mana, and we are a deck that requires white mana sometimes. So whilst not ideal, I think that's fine. Uh-oh. We're going to have a bad time. Are we looking at Reanimator? Most likely Reanimator. Could be Dredge. Could be like a scam deck of some description. Feels like Reanimate. Okay, so we're going to lose both of our Elvish Reclaimers here. Pretty bad news for us. We will play out our Yavimaya, so we are offering a crop rotation in the near future. We might win this game. Our opponent's kind of blown a lot for this double grief play of Flagstones. I do like having a Flagstones to sacrifice. Sure, we'll play out as Flagstones this turn. We can crop rotate it into what we need to now. Into the Dark Depths if we need to. This can sacrifice itself, right? To crop rotation. So this can become a Dark Depths. And then the Thespian stage we have the 3 mana. So we don't actually do this now. We wait and we can hold up the Pajuka Bog if necessary. If something goes horribly wrong, we can Pajuka Bog, otherwise we can just make our guy in the end step. I think this grief is going to go all the way. What have you got on your second main opponent? Animate Dead on the Elvish Reclaimer. That is A-OK with me. Savannah. This one will go get us the Dark Depths. This will activate targeting Dark Depths. The Yavimaya makes the Dark Depths tap. And we get the game. Alright, game 1 versus Reanimator. We only saw black mana. I don't necessarily think that's a given as to all our opponent has. Alright, so the endurance is fine. It is something we need, really. Glacial Chasm doesn't really stop some of their scarier things, so I don't think that's where we want to be. The Grist is okay. I don't think we want Thalia here, unfortunately. Maybe we'll find a matchup for it to shine at some point. I don't hate the Excavator here. The Outland Liberator can also do some good stuff. I don't think we need the Sylvan Safekeeper though. So I don't think we got much change here. Oh, sorry, Scavenging Ooze. You definitely need to come in. They've shown us a lot of basics actually, so we can get rid of the Ramunap Excavator and have the Scavenging Ooze. The Prismatic Ending can answer some of our opponent's things, like Animate Dead. Excuse me, but I don't think that's where you want to be here. We'll leave the plows in case something needs answering. Yeah, I think this is about as good as it's going to get. Like, our hand has Graveyard Hate, right? We have Crop Rotation. That's the best we get, really. We can have Endurance, but okay, Chancellor of the Annex. Not a great one for us there. Unmask. Targeting us. We're going to lose Crop Rotation? Yeah. A Lotus Petal. Are they going to go this turn and kill us? Probably going to have a good go at it. They haven't played a land yet, so they might be able to reanimate this turn. No land. I guess it's pretty free for us to play this forest. The only way we get punished is if we would need to cast an Assassin's Trophy. But do we think our opponent's pivoted to the Maze of the Moon line? Why would they have Maze of the Moon when they have these things? Yeah, we just get the buy. So this is going to cast an Elvish Reclaimer into the Chancellor trigger. Not great, but I think it's worth just clearing the trigger so we might be able to cast that thing next turn. A Badlands into a Faithless Looting. Okay, this is alright for us. Another Archon of Cruelty. Okay, so now I can play this one out. This one can get a forest. We can deploy this Elvish Reclaimer. We'll deploy it off of the Bayou, I guess. Just in case they do have a way of messing with our lands. Some of these decks board in Maze of the Moon. I don't think they should be bringing Maze of the Moon against us necessarily, but it's a thing they might have. Alright. So we've got the Bajuka Bog ready to go. Exhume. Crop Rotate this Bayou into a Bajuka Bog, I think. I might as well do the forest. Say no to my opponent's graveyard. Alright, they're just scooping it up there. We are hoovering up a whole bunch of their threats. But when I played Reanimator the other day, I got blocked by an early Reclaimer because it's just so powerful. That wasn't why I actually did it here, it was the crop rotation, but again, this deck has a lot of ways of interacting with graveyards. We are 2-1, I think I'm doing alright for someone who doesn't play this deck. Alright, let's go to round 4. Our hand doesn't do anything, it's all mana, so we're going to throw this one back. This is a much more reasonable hand. What goes away here is the question. We don't have a white source to cast our 2 white spells. That is awkward, I would describe that as. I'm tempted to bin off one of these green suns. That will leave us with 2 difficult to cast spells that we can use the first green sun to go and get an Elvish Reclaimer. But our deck has got a lot of mana in. Is this greedy? Or we can just bin off the Dark Depths and worry about that later as a plan. If we can't cast our spells, the Dark Depths is a pretty good plan. This is a tough mulligan decision, actually. Real tough. I think we'll get rid of the plow. we're going to be the aggressor in a lot of matchups, I think. And again, it's a thing we can't cast. If we immediately draw... I think if we keep a hand with 2 white cards in and no white mana, and we lose the game, that's kind of on us, right? Mox Diamond. Okay. Some sort of lands type mirror, perhaps? How far on the lands are they? There's like a spectrum between like Naya Depths all the way through to hard green X lands. We'll see where on the spectrum our opponent sits. A Maze of Ith, a Tiger. Okay, we're probably looking at relatively standard red-green lands. Life of Malone, sure. No Wasteland as of yet, but that doesn't mean they don't have one. Our Wastelands, probably not going to do us a lot of good, but I think this Paducah Bog right now, taking out this Life of Malone is good. So let's do that. This turns on our Wastelands as well. Well, turns them on until they don't do anything, right? That's the jam. Go over the Burn Willows. All right. Hopefully our opponent was relatively all in on that Life of Malone. A Shadow Spear. That's not really something that's very useful to them unless they get us a Saga going. We don't really want to wasteland what they got here. We don't want to play this out either. I think we just want to play out this. Like if we can get an Elvish Reclaimer and start and get up to white mana, that's going to be really useful for us. So let's try that. We don't want to play out Dark Depths while our opponent can then just drop us Thespian stage and make a 2020. So we have to play the Dark Depths at the last moment. Alright, so they're on a lightning build, a lightning bolt list. Sure. Let's see. Maze of Ith. Sure. We knew they had that. Mox Diamond, pitching the other Maze of Ith. Okay, so our opponent's got nothing here. So what do we want here? I think we're going to get our Outland Liberator this turn. Because we can chew through all these artifacts quite handily here. So our opponent doesn't have a spell, which seems unlikely that they will. Then this just gets to turn sideways and eat stuff. Even if they Maze of Ith it, it still gets to blow up one of their things. And then next turn we make the 2020. And then the next turn we wasteland away the Maze of Ith. If we play the Dark Depths next turn, we activate it straight away. Because we don't want our opponent to get their own Thespian stage or a wasteland. Right, so they've played a Dark Depths out to help us there. Interesting choice. Very interesting choice. Let's go to tax here. What do we want to blow up here? I think I'm actually going to take out the Shadow Spear. Our opponent playing this Dark Depths has really helped us out. Because we now get to go copy this. And we wasteland their Dark Depths so they can't make a 2020 on their turn. And then we have the second wasteland for next turn. Karakas obviously is pretty good here. But... and there's a Saga. Okay, so we have the game. Yeah, they know we're just going to wasteland their other land here. Like, they know that's what's going on. Okay, so the lands matchup. I think these prismatic endings are going to be useful. I think Seeds of Innocence might be quite nice here. Though is it going to be better than... I think the Force of Vigors are probably going to be better. The Endurance is going to be nice. The Grist is an interesting one. It gives us a way of winning through some of their like nonsense cards they can have. I don't hate that. Field of the Dead, if this game goes long, but I don't know if we're going to keep enough lands in play for that. Scavenging Ooze is a definite though. I don't think we need plows here. Ramunap Excavator is good. Assassin's Trophy, Outland Liberator. I don't think we want Safekeeper here. The Thalia does live through a bunch of stuff, right? That's not nothing. But it's quite expensive in a matchup where they're going to be wastelanding me all the livelong day. Sorry, Gitrog monster. Getting sideboarded out a lot. Any of these not good? No, they're all good lands. Alright, maybe we trim a Dark Depths. Because we don't want to enable our opponent's one. So we don't want to draw multiple Dark Depths. We just want to have one in hand for the right moment. If our opponent doesn't make the Dark Depths then, we still win that game. But I think they make it happen slightly quicker. Or they give themselves no outs. Or less outs, maybe. Alright, we've got the Graveyard Hate. I like this. We've got the Reclaimer. This seems fine to me. We can go and get a basic forest, so we're at least starting the game out in a nice place. Don't really want this Yavimaya, because it turns on our opponent's Maze of Ith and all sorts of stuff. They got a lot more land that get upside from Yavimaya than we do. Just a harmless Wooded Foothills. The problem with getting a basic here is that our Elvish Reclaimer is that we need white mana is the problem. I think we still go for the forest and just try and lean on these Reclaimers. It's a bit awkward because I would quite like to have access to white mana for Knight of the Reliquary, but I feel that's going to be something that's going to be a long way down the track. We're going to get scrappy, we're going to lose mana sources, they're going to be bombing our guys. Alright, our opponent fetched a forest. Exploration, okay. Powerful card. They get to play 2 land drops this turn. A Tabernacle. Alright. And a Tiger. They're going to Pithing Needle our Reclaimer. Interesting. Okay. I think I will keep this Reclaimer alive. I'm going to tax. I don't really know which of these lands I want to get rid of right now. I think we're just going to Wasteland this Tabernacle. We could drop the Mox Diamond and play an Elvish Reclaimer here. No, I don't like that. I feel they might just be Life from Maloming into a Tabernacle again. Okay, maybe not. Another one of these, that's really not what we want to see. So we played this. I guess we get rid of the Yavimaya here. Do we play this Bajuka Bog out? That seems awkward, to say the least. We'll just get an attack in here. We should have got another attack in last turn, I think. If we'd have played out the Mox Diamond, we'd have got more damage. So what we can do here is we can play the Bajuka Bog to get rid of these things. We don't have to worry about Tabernacle ever again. But if they get a Life from Malome, that's going to feel real bad for us. I think we do it though. Just clear this out. The first Life from Malome won't give them anything. So we're just on a beatdown plan here. A Wasteland, sure. And a Dark Depths. Okay. We can blow up the Dark Depths if we want to. We can also blow up the Needle and start doing some stuff that way. We have the Assassin's Trophy here. Opponent's got 1 card in hand. Flagstones. I like this one. We have a choice of playing the Knight out, or we can Assassin's Trophy the Dark Depths. We have to do one or the other though. If they have crop rotation, we get a bit blown out here for doing. I think we just hold up the Assassin's Trophy here. They got 1 card in hand. We're ahead on board. If they crop rotate, we just immediately blow up the Dark Depths in response to the crop rotation. This shuts them off of Thespian stage as a way of making a 2020. Now they can probably get something else that's pretty annoying for us. The forest's already gone, so they're not getting anything from the Assassin's Trophy. What do they find here? Glacial Chasm? I don't think that's really where they want to be. We also have Prismatic Endings in our deck that can just clear the Needle if we need to. If we find them. Glacial Chasm is an awkward one because I have to lose a land for it. They could get a Maze of Ith, which buys them another turn. Okay, they're getting a Saga. That's a pretty decent one. And they can activate it without having to tap their Ancient Tomb as well. But this will only be a 2/2 this turn. So we can bash in. They probably don't block this turn. They block next turn. Unless they've got Punishing Fire type stuff to go with it. And still taking Ancient Tomb damage. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on here. I think we just go to attacks here. Just a 2-2. Have they got something to add to this? No. Okay. I think we'll jam this one. White, green, white. Now we can play the Mox Diamond, or we can just hold the Sejiri Steppe. I like holding the Sejiri Steppe personally, because we can, if they play something like an Endurance, we can sail through that. They can find a Shadow Spear here and have a reasonable sized guy. But we also get to Knight of the Reliquary up something if we want it this turn. We will have to lose our forest to do so. A Soul Guide Lantern. Right, this is going to strip our guys out of their size. That's pretty nice. We can put this Sejiri Steppe. So we can put 2 things into our graveyard straight up here. Now, they've still got the Soul Guide Lantern hanging out for whenever they need it. I don't think they can attack here. Alright. Prismatic Endings are good. Wasteland. What do you do in this crazy mixed up world of ours? This is an interesting choice. We can just shoot her up the combo over the course of 2 turns and try and win that way. Our opponent's only on 3. We swing with everything. If we swing with everything, they Soul Guide Lantern away. These become 3/3s. So one of them eats this, one of them eats this, and then they take 3. Because we have the Wasteland. We can Wasteland our own thing. So we attack with all of them. They block. They have to block the Knight. And they block here. This dies. The Knight can kill the construct, whatever they do, right? Because they get rid of all these. We can put 2 lands in the bin to make this a 4/4 against a 3/3. Or we can attack with just the Knight. They can double block. That doesn't feel great. I think we attack with everything. And put them to... If we attack with everything, we put them to 2. So we shut off the Ancient Tomb. Is that important? They can... is shutting off the Ancient Tomb important here? That's the question. Or do we just go for the cracking our lands away? If they block wrong, we can kill them this turn, right? If we attack with these 3 guys and they block... if they block these 2, then they die because of our own Wasteland. Which is tight. If they block... The best block here is so they do 3 here. So this will die and our Knight will live. And we'll trade one of our Reclaimers. Or they can take both Reclaimers. Yeah, so we're going to trade 1 Reclaimer for 1 Construct token. That's fine. They can also just block on the Knight here. And one of these. But then they take 3 and die. So they have... No, they don't have that option, right? Yeah. Alright, we did work that out right. Sure. So they have to crack the Soul Guide Lantern here. Otherwise they die. And we Wasteland our own Flagstones. This doesn't put quite enough in the bin to make our Elvish Reclaimer lethal. So we're going to get planes here. So we trade a Reclaimer effectively for a Construct token. Which then makes the other Construct token weaker next turn. And we can put the Sejiri Steppe into our bin quite easily. And our opponent's on 2. So no Ancient Tomb activations. Yeah, that was a tough combat for both of us, to be honest. Oh, have they got something end of turn? Another Saga? Another Saga is probably okay. A Bajuka Bog. Oh, that's good. That's a very good final card to have in their hand there. Alright. Yeah, I thought we outplayed them there, but then they also had the crop rotation. And now they can go and get a Saga and put it into play. Yep, it's fallen away from us a little bit here. Force of Vigor is not lethal here, right? It'll be a good draw, though, because we'll be able to blow up the Urza Saga and the Construct, if we want to. I think Force of Vigor is one of our best draws. Prismatic Ending's not too shabby, but... Ramunap Excavator. This is a guy that does stuff, right? The constructs are colourless, so we can't get protection from them, which is really irritating. Truth be told. Let's play it out. This is a creature, so they're going to have to hold back their Saga tokens. Oh, that crop rotation is brutal. This has been a really good game. I don't think we want to get... So we can play a Mox Diamond and then put the Sejiri Steppe in play, but I think having this as a way of adding lands to our bin is going to be more important. So we're going to keep this in hand for now. Our opponent is slightly ahead in this game. Force of Vigor, very good draw for us again. Green Sun Zenith. What does this do? This gets us Knight. It gets us Outland Liberator, which can blow up the Saga right now. Check my sideboard to see what we boarded in and out to make sure. I think we're playing this Mox Diamond. So do we want Knight, or do we want the Outland Liberator here? We can use the Outland Liberator and immediately blow up the Urza Saga. I think the Outland Liberator is better than a Knight here. Knight is big. Oh no, Knight is not even that big, right? Yeah, it's the Outland Liberator, right? Let's try this one out. Let's keep a little eye on the clock. This might go to a game 3. It's been a really good game. It's tough. Scavenging Ooze is also pretty good, but I think the Outland Liberator is where I want to be here. So we force our opponent into having to cast a spell. We've got a lot of life to work with still. So I don't want to crack this now. I assume he's going to make another token, so they're going to have some 5/5s. But if they start attacking, that can get a little bit dangerous for them. Does our opponent have a spell to stop the Outland Liberator flipping? If they've got a burn spell, that's super good. They just get to take our Liberator and we are bad. 1 and a green. Library? Or Life from the Loam? Life from the Loam is pretty bad for us here. Oof. Dark Depths, Urza Saga, Urza Saga. Okay. We need to go pretty soon, I think, here. If we had more mana, we could have blown up the Pithing Needle. Okay. So now this guy is coming in. Alright. So the way we win this game now is drawing Force of Vigor. We draw Force of Vigor, we cast it, blow these up, swing for lethal. Come on, deck. Force of Vigor off the top. It wasn't Force of Vigor. Oh, dear. Alright. I think we've lost this one. Now that draw's okay. But we're struggling. This Shadow Spear is going to get out of hand. We could have blown up the Shadow Spear instead of the Construct. Maybe we're going to be punished for that. But I think the problem is they're making 2 guys a turn now. And then they can just Life from the Loam it back. Their inevitability here is enormous. We do get to Life from the Loam them next turn. Get rid of their Life from the Loam, sorry. But yeah, this is very much slipping away. We're going to try and eat some time back on the clock, I think. So this can be for 7 if they make 2 constructs here. Yeah, I think we were supposed to get rid of the Shadow Spear. Because then at least we have multiple times where we can draw the Force of Vigor. And the Dark Depths. I don't think our opponent should play that card. Because now we can make a 20/20. They've just given us the out there, right? 1. They have a Maze of Ith and they have a Wasteland, but we can then go and get a Wasteland ourselves for next turn. Sure, we'll sacrifice this Plains to get ourselves a Thespian stage. And we copy this. And we'll tap. We'll use this mana and one of the Mox Diamonds. So we have a 20/20 now. We'll deploy another guy in case we need to soak up some toughness. Next turn the Knight can go and get a Wasteland to get rid of the Maze of Ith there if our opponent plays it. Now they're getting a lot of guys. There's no denying that. We've got a lot of chump blockers. There's no Karakas in their bin, right? No. There's nothing in their bin that stops us. Unless they can kill the Knight of the Reliquary this turn. And as long as we keep the Ramunap around, we can use the Sejiri Steppe to get through their own Dark Depths token if they make one. I think they gave us a route back in the game here. Tough game. A lot of stuff going on. Sure. So we have the Maze of Ith covered with the Knight of the Reliquary here. There's a Saga, that's fine. They can turn off our Indestructible. But I don't think that matters here. So what is this? Wasteland. Thespian stage. Yep, okay, none of this stops us from winning the game next turn so far. Let's see what they opt for here. Nothing. Interesting. So we draw a card. It doesn't really matter what this card is, I don't think. So we play the Sejiri Steppe from the graveyard. To go on Marit Lage, Pro Black. We sacrifice this forest for a Wasteland. We Wasteland the Maze of Ith. They got a crop rotation, we lose. Alright, they didn't have the crop rotation. Alright, that was a really, really good match. Our opponent made one slight fumble by playing the Dark Depths there. They let us in, and I didn't think they needed to. So, yeah, interesting. But this game went really long, and there's lots of stuff going on, so tough. A tough one. But we got the win in the end. Let's go to match 5 to see if we can get the 4-1, I think it is. Whew. Opening hand for the final round. No green sources, so we're going to send this one back. Yeah, it seems good to me. We'll keep. I think we're going to bottom the Plow. My plan is to make a Green Sun Zenith for the Elf on turn 1. So we'll use Mox Diamond, Windswept Heath, Green Sun Zenith for Reclaimer. And then we're getting close to the Dark Depths then. Am I sure this is going to work? No. But I think it's a good way to start. Oh, okay. Change of plan entirely. Let's go for a basic forest into Elvish Reclaimer. We don't need to use the Mox Diamond unless we want to try and make a Dryad Arbor. That'll give us a massive mana ramp, but I don't think that's where I want to be yet. And we're just going to save this Green Sun Zenith for either a useful silver bullet in the matchup, if we have one. Alternatively, we can go and get a Knight. I suspect we're getting Plowed or Prismatic Ended on our Elvish Reclaimer, unless our opponent is some sort of combo deck. But usually the combo decks that have Tundra in them are Cephalid Breakfast, sometimes Doomsday though. So let's have a look. Okay, we're looking at Bant, some sort of Bant control. Stoneforge Mystic. Not a fan of this being all up in my business, that's for sure. We're getting here Cauldra or Shuko. Probably Cauldra, yeah. I haven't seen many Bant Cephalid Breakfast decks for a long time. So we've got some choices now. So we can Wasteland our opponent's Tundra and try and stop them that way. I don't hate that as a strategy. So let's get rid of this. And play our Mox Diamond. Force of Will. Alright, let's play our Mox Diamond. Wow, that was a great value one. So get this Scrubland. So, what do we do here? I think we go... We turn this into Yavimaya. Then we play a Dark Depths and then Green Sun. Is that worth doing right now? I'm trying to think, because we need more mana, right? We've already played our land for the turn, haven't we? So we could Green Sun Zenith for another Elvish Reclaimer. Or we could just go and get the Dryad Arbor and then bash for 3. Bit of a tough choice, actually. I think I want the Dryad Arbor and a bash for 3. Let's try that. Although we have so many lands in our deck, right? Maybe we're just supposed to go and get another one of these Reclaimers. They seem pretty strong. Let's get the Reclaimer here. Oh wow, they didn't have a land. Well, Wasteland, you're such a good Magic the Gathering card. You made me so happy. So we'll play this out. We'll go to attacks here. So if we use this one, if we use these two to spin up a Yavimaya, we're not really getting anywhere still, are we? Right, we're just attacking with these ones. We've got Sejiri Steppe if we want it. We can go and find another thing. I'm a little bit reluctant about casting this crop rotation. If our opponent doesn't have lands, we know they got Cauldron, but they could have some more counter spells. Or a little elf beatdown. I don't think our opponent found a land because they would have dropped it by now. Oh, they do have a land. A Flooded Strand. They're going to make the Cauldron this turn. Do we care about that? If they attack with the Cauldron, then they're putting themselves in a big old risk. They're going for the Cauldron. Is this on blocks or not? It looks like it is on blocks. Do we have any good tools that can stop this? Not especially. Oh, they are coming in for attacks. That is a very risky proposition, in my opinion. A Wasteland. This doesn't do anything, but it is a land for the purposes of what we've got going on here. So we can make a Dark Depths token. We can also bash our opponent for 6. Put them to 2. We have Sejiri Steppe as an option to push through their blockers. We can get 2 Sejiri Steppes if we want to. That doesn't ever use the stack to deal with counter spells. So we'll see what our opponent has here. It's going to have to be pretty good. They can't attack. They want to plow our Elvish Reclaimer. Sorry, Prismatic End our Elvish Reclaimer. We could crop rotate and make a 20/20 right now. Or we could crop rotate to save our Reclaimer. I think we let the Reclaimer go. If they don't play another land, maybe we crop rotate here at end of turn. They're going to attack. They're attacking. Gonna float 1. Crop rotate. Am I crop rotating this Wasteland or this Forest actually? We already have the... I don't want to get Prismatic Ending off my mana, so I will crop rotate the Wasteland. Counter spell for this is pretty annoying. Alright, we've just got in there. Alright. Some sort of Bant middle Stonebladey type thing. Choke's going to have some text here. Tower of the Magistrate's going to be great. Grist probably not doing what we need it to do. Prismatic Ending is going to be good here. Grist is just a nice value engine that I'm certainly into. We didn't really see very much from our opponent. We saw counter spells, we saw Ice Fangs. That's about it. How good is Outland Liberator? Depends what equipments they have, but it's not very good against Calder because it's indestructible. Is Thalia good? I don't think we want the Thalia, but this is the last game, so we should keep it in, right? The Assassin's Trophies are okay, but I think we're probably going to get rid of them here. I don't think that's really where we want to be. I think we need to race to the Safekeeper plan, so I think we can probably bin that one off. Get rid of a couple of crop rotations at least. Maybe we get rid of 3 crop rotations. This all seems pretty good. Do you want the Field of the Dead in case the game goes long? What have we seen from our opponent? We haven't seen any legends. So maybe we'll take out this Karakas. Or we can take this last crop rotation. Try something like this. Not convinced by. So I like the Endurance as an option to have. Same with the Outland Liberator. It seems like it could be useful. We don't know how deep their equipment package is. Maybe they've got Battle Skulls that we can interact with. Or maybe this should just be a crop rotation. Or just another Endurance as a flash threat. Or an Assassin's Trophy to blow up a scary thing. Alright, we'll try like this. We didn't see enough of our opponent to know what they're playing. Like, they're playing Bantblade. We don't know if they're going to be going up into Natural Orders, if they're a Green Sun Zenith deck. Are they a Daze deck? We just don't really know. We can start the game with Elvish Reclaimer, which is pretty much the best thing our deck does. So I'm going to say keep to this. We're not great versus opposing Wastelands. How much of those our opponent have, I don't really know. I don't think an Icefang deck is going to be packing much in the way of Wastelands, but it probably will have access to one or two and a Life in the Loam. Noble Hierarch. Okay, I think our opponent might be on a Natural Order style deck here. Choke. This is probably going to be a useful one in the near future. Let's try and jam the Reclaimer. Probably going to get killed on our opponent's turn, but I can live with that. And then I think we are playing the Paducah Bog so we can untap into a choke the turn after. Our opponent's going to get basics where possible, I would imagine, but they did get the Tropical Island first, so... Alright, so there's a basic. But it is an island, which gets hit by choke. What does this card do? Exile card from the top of my library until mana value 20 or more is hit. Okay. So that exiled half of our deck. Bit rude. Bit rude indeed. An interesting sideboard plan for our opponent there. So we'll need to refer to this in terms of what we can fetch with our guy. They've seen a choke now, so they might be more prepared for it. Mox Diamond would be a good draw. How many have we got left in our deck? 1. Okay, unlikely. Yeah, Tasha's Hideous Laughter is an interesting sideboard plan. I imagine it's pretty good for ad nauseum decks as well. You can just wipe out a bunch of their stuff. Obviously not ad nauseum Tendrils, but the other ad nauseum Storm decks. Because the ad nauseum, I suppose no, it's exiled, right? It's not even put into a graveyard, right? So yeah, it's just going to be great against those decks too. It's pretty cool. Swords to Plowshares. Suppose we'll play out this Paducah Bog. I'd like to plough this guy now so they can't natural order next turn. And we'll get a nice little damage in for 1, and hopefully next turn we're going to choke them out. Make sure their islands don't untap. If we've got another one of those Tasha's Hideous Laughters, we might just be dead. Yeah, it's possible. Stoneforge Mystic. It's a bit of an awkward one. I was kind of hoping they tap this Tropical Island though, but... Cauldron. We can more or less deal with the Cauldron if we need to, when the time comes. We could just play this Grist and kill the Stoneforge. I don't hate that. Let's try that. They don't have white mana to kill our Reclaimer in response, so... Goodbye Stoneforge, that's going to strand the Cauldron in their hand, and hopefully we can just tick up this Grist and not get hit by Tasha's Hideous Laughter again. Because that might just do us. And that's a pretty cool sideboard pivot there. We can't actually cast our Endurance. Now we can. Alright, let's make a 1-1. And I think we are... I'm just trying to think if we want to... What land we want to keep up here. We can use this to get Dryad Arbor. Actually, is there a Dryad Arbor in our exile zone? There is not. So we get Dryad Arbor to increase our clock. So I think we're going to go green, white, black, make a knight. And then we get Dryad Arbor and we can attack for 4, 5, 6 next turn. An Ice Fang. Sure. They need another snow cover permanent to make this death touchy. Alright, there's the other snow cover permanent if they want it. They're attacking. That makes me think they've got another one. What are they attacking? The Grist. Sure. Grist can take 1. That's fine. And then we'll crack this. End of turn. Gonna get ourselves a Dryad Arbor. Do we want to live in fear of another Ice Fang? Then we're always plussing first, aren't we? And I think we're just going to jam here. If they have it, they have it. But I think we're just on the aggro plan. Does feel like they have another Ice Fang. We can just play another one of these. If they play an Ice Fang and block, it gives us an opportunity to choke them. Oh no, this is something else. This is a Wandering Emperor. Interesting. Okay, similar but different. This means they can take out our Grist next turn. You can exile that, sure. Take 2. 3 cards on our opponent's hand. One of them is Cauldron. Let's slam and choke. If it sticks, we shut off 3 of our opponent's lands. If it doesn't stick, our opponent just has Cauldron in hand. Okay. So we've shut off 3 of our opponent's lands there. They can kill our Grist this turn. And at any point we can die to Hideous Laughter if they have it, I guess. This is an unusual one, but still. Yep, so this pluses Ice Fang attacks our Grist. We do get to kill the Wandering Emperor, though, for this play. Unless they have a removal spell. Okay, they're representing another Ice Fang here. I think we send all 3 of them at... All 3 of our creatures go into... Interesting. I think all 3 of our creatures are going at the Wandering Emperor here, just to guarantee it dies, even if they have an Ice Fang. They have to have Ice Fang and swords. And they'd be burning a swords on our insect, which means that the Knight of the Reliquary we're about to play won't care about that. Let's see. An Endurance. Okay. We still get to kill the Wandering Emperor. We lose our graveyard. It goes into the bottom of our library. But that's not the end of the world. Oh, they did their own. That's really interesting. They just want to draw that Tasha's Hideous... No, the Tasha's Hideous Laughter's gone, I think, right? We Pachuca bugged that. Okay, so they block the Dryad Arbor, but they lose the Wandering Emperor here. And then we can jam this one for green, 1/1. Our opponent doesn't have any blue sources for the next turn unless they have one in hand. We've got the biggest thing on board. We found a Wasteland. They can take out our Dark Depths here. They're probably not going to attack our... They could attack our green source. That'd be an interesting play. Yep, they're going after green source. So we're kind of at a standstill a little bit here. If we can find a green source, though, we're not. What does our Prismatic Ending do? Prismatic Ending wipes the Germ. Sorry, not the Germ, the Ice Fang. So white, black. We get rid of the Ice Fang, then we can just start bashing with the Knight of the Reliquary here. Right, that's our opponent 8. So we can make a lethal attack next turn if we want to, which will also shut off fetch lands. Oh, interesting. They're attacking here. We'll take it. Our Life Tells resource. Let's use it. That's a very interesting attack to me. Swords to Plowshares. Alright. Plains. It's not really the one we wanted, was it? We are in manually taking counters off of our Dark Depths mode, which is sometimes the things you have to do. We have an emergency endurance that we can pitch cast, but that's not really where I want to be. I don't think keep attacking with endurance favours our opponent there. Right, good old fashioned pay 30 mana, make a 20/20. A Flagstones. Yeah, I think we'll play this. I don't think we want to attack anymore. A Yavimaya completely unlocks our hand. Our opponent doesn't have blue mana, so they've probably got a bunch of cantrips in hand. A Stoneforge Mystic. That's a good one. Need to answer this. Our opponent's got more creatures than I thought they had, which is interesting. Sword of Feast and Famine. I don't see that one every day. Let's remove an ice counter. Green Sun Zenith we can't cast. Sure, over to your opponent. So they can get the Cauldron in, which is not a shabby clock at all. And then they can put in the Sword of Feast and Famine, and then they can equip it, and then it will untap all of their lands that are choked out. So we're going to have to find something soon. Thespian stage wouldn't be a bad draw. Coming in for 5. They're coming in for 5. Let's remove some counters from the Dark Depths. A Forest. Okay. What does this get us here? It can get us the Knight, or it can get us Thalia. I want Thalia to be useful, but I think we are supposed to get the knights here. 3, 4. Oh wait, we don't have any knights left, do we? Oh, we don't have anything to fetch with our Green Sun Zenith at all now, right? How many Thespian stage have been milled? 1, 2. Wow, we don't have any guys left. I should have looked at that. Was a misplay from my part there. We should have just played the Elvish Reclaimer, and then we can go and get the last Thespian stage the turn after. Yeah, that was a bit of a misplay. We've only got 10 cards left in our deck here. Alright, so we take another 5. Then they put a Sword of Feast and Famine into place at the end of our turn. And they get to unlock all their blue mana from underneath the choke soon. Green Sun Zenith. Okay, that doesn't do anything here, as we've established. Let's play an Elvish Reclaimer. Now, where's our Maze of Ith? Is that... we still have... No, our Maze of Ith is gone as well into Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Yeah, we're going to have a bad time here. We have a choice coming up whether or not we want to endurance away our endurance our graveyard back, but we can't stop this from connecting, unfortunately. So we just have to eat it. Which means they get to untap all of their mana. Yep. We'll disguise Green Sun that's got no targets. Not a great spot. Noble Hierarch. Sure. And they get to do that every turn they hit us with that guy. Teferi Time Raveler. That's a pretty annoying one. That can bounce our Elvish Reclaimer and stop us getting our combo. Although, I don't think it's quick enough to do that now anyway. Sure. How are we going to get out of this jam? Swords to Plowshares. That gets us out of the jam a little bit. Play the Reclaimer here. I think we have to... I think we just have to plow the germ, don't we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Let's plow the germ. Force of Will. Pitching Hydroblast. I think we're done here. Just trying to think what we can do. So this is attacking for 7, so he can block 4 of that damage. And then the following turn, maybe we can... But they've got the rest of the damage coming in. Yeah, we need to concede this game and make better use of our next game. Oh, that Hideous Laughter was pretty interesting. So they've shown us more things that we might care about. So I would like this Assassin's Trophy in the mix. I don't think we want the Thalia. I know it's the thing we're kind of trying to do. Oh, maybe we'll take the Endurance out. I probably didn't really use their graveyard, so let's take the Endurance out and have the Thalia. I don't think we want these crop rotations into the counter magic. Maybe Outland Liberator is okay here. But what would it go in place of is the problem. I think maybe we can cut the Bajuka Bog for an Outland Liberator. Do you want a Scavenging Ooze just as a threat? But where would that go in place of? Oh, I guess we could have drawn Tower of the Magistrate, was another card in our deck that would have been relatively useful against what our opponent was putting down there. We're going to keep the Thalia in. Maybe that's wrong, but we got to try it. Got to try and get this Thalia into play one time. Being on the play doesn't hurt. We have a turn to Sylvan Library. That's quite a powerful thing we can be doing. I think we'll try this. I don't think we need to play out the Sejiri Steppe yet. We might be able to save that to push through some damage. I don't think we're going to get a guard for this Dryad Arbor. Alright, Tower of the Magistrate is an interesting one that I am a fan of. So I think we go and get ourselves a Bayou and a Savannah here. We'll jam this. Sylvan Library, please. This is worthy of a counter spell. They have one. They might just Prismatic Ending this, unfortunately. Let's see what our opponent's up to. We need to be a little bit better, quicker on the clock. Okay, so they can Wasteland us here if they want to. But we have a Sylvan Library. We have an active Sylvan Library, right? So we should be miles ahead now. Pay 4, pay 4. I think that's just where we want to be right now, isn't it? think we jam this Elvish Reclaimer. And we'll play this tap land now. So we already have a 3-4. We got 3 removal spells, so our opponent's not going to be able to easily win with Stoneforge Mystic. And we have Tower of the Magistrate, which is very good against Stoneforge Mystic. A Hierarch. No mana source. Alright, this makes me want to Swords to Plowshares that guy. Let's use the library. I don't think we're in a spot for choke, so we're going to put this on top of our library. And do we want double green mana this turn? We're going to plow, play reclaim, play reclaimer. So I don't think we need this yet. So let's plow this one. Get it out of the way. Then we'll go to attacks. We'll attack with the reclaimer here. I like the Yavimaya on top of our library, so I don't really want to fetch things right now either. Play another guy. I'll play out the Tower of the Magistrate now. It's a mana source. Where is the Maze of Ith? I guess the Maze of Ith is underneath the Yavimaya, so maybe we should have sandbagged the tower. Right. So they're representing an Ice Fang that won't have Death Touch right now. Let's draw some cards. Put this on top of our library. Put this on top of our library. Or do we keep this one? I think we'll put the Yavimaya on top of our library here. We'll go to attacks. So let's jam this. Choke on them. Alright. So they get 1 use of their snow-covered island. Force of Vigor. Pitching an Ice Fang. Sure. Our library's done work already. There's the Yavimaya on top that we can draw, and then we can shuffle with a guy. So they did have the Ice Fang, sure. So we can use the Yavimaya to blow up one of their basics, which would be pretty annoying for them. Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Let's see what they exile. 23 cards, not as many as last time. Obviously, they're hitting a lot of our threats. But we do have 2 threats in play. And they're not... this doesn't have Death Touch yet, so pretty happy about that. If we find a land, I think we might get the Thalia because... Alright, we've found the land, I guess. Let's go attacks. We lost the card, so we didn't get the Yavimaya that was on top. This unfortunately comes in tapped. So we could Green Sun Zenith for a threat right now. We can't get the Grist. We can't get the Ramunap. We could get one of the Knights. Our opponent can't cast a Supreme Verdict with the mana they're displaying. I kind of want to get the Thalia, but I don't think that's just going to be a thing that happens here. How many Knights have we got left? 1 Knight, 2 Knight, 3 Knights. So there should be 1 Knight in our deck. Oh wait, no. We don't get the Maze of Ith mana because we don't have the Yavimaya because that went away, didn't it? Do we just get another Elvish Reclaimer here? How many Elvish Reclaimers do we have? So we have 1 Elvish Reclaimer exiled. We should still have another Elvish Reclaimer in our deck. It's going to get another one. Okay. This gives us lethal threats next turn. If we can find a green source, we can always crack for a Yavimaya. That doesn't really help us. But we can, if we find a green source, we get to blow up one of the creatures as well. And come in for 9 against our opponent's life total of 5. A prismatic ending on that guy, sure. They're representing an endurance here. A Knight of the Reliquary. We can play this. We don't need to right now. If they have another Ice Fang, how bad is that for us? It's not great, is it? I think we are attacking with 1 guy. That way we can always Maze of Ith our own creature. If we attack with both and they play another Ice Fang, we still lose one of our guys. This way, if they play an Ice Fang, we're just going to take 3, are they? That's interesting. Are we supposed to... what are we supposed to do with this? We can either hold up an Elvish Reclaimer, or we can just play this Knight of the Reliquary. Have we got any Yavimayas left in our deck? No. So we can't get a Yavimaya. So we can't make this make mana. But we can like turn a Sejiri Steppe into a Savannah, perhaps. Or do we just play a threat? Do we think our opponent's going to have a Supreme Verdict? I don't think we have to worry about that. That's what they do. They didn't do anything with their turn, pretty much. I think we can play around the Supreme Verdict relatively well there. There is a Wasteland. What is it going after? We will sacrifice this land. We'll go and get ourselves a... Interesting. Get Forest here. Let's get Forest. So we have Assassin's Trophy available. We only have four and a bit minutes, but that should be plenty of time for this game to reach a conclusion one way or the other. Sure, that's fine. Opponent's got one card in hand. Let's try and get rid of their blocker. And swing for lethal. If they have an endurance, we can attack into an endurance without too much worry. If they have an Ice Fang, we can Maze of Ith ourselves. No Ice Fang? Alright, we got the game. Oh, God, these games are long and hard, aren't they? Alright, so we finished with a 4-1, which was... felt like a pretty long league today, which is another reason I haven't played this deck, because it's hard to play and the games are quite long and grindy. And if I'm recording at like 11, so it's now like 20 past 1 in the morning. So it's been a long one. However, we got the 4-1, so pretty happy about that. I hope whoever, well, the person who donated this deck list, I hope they are happy with my performance here. Let's have a quick chat about the deck. First things first, we did not do anything with Thalia, right? This was not a thing that really came into being as a thing we were doing. So that's a shame. We would have fetched it possibly in that last game, given the chance, because it trades favourably into Ice Fangs and Endurances, which is not nothing, right? But it does feel a little bit slow when we've already got these things. The other thing that never really came up was the Sylvan Safekeeper. It was bought out a lot. I understand that you can use it to protect your guys quite effectively and also grow your knight at instant speed by sacrificing land. So there's definitely some uses to this for sure. But I think the Thalia is maybe making us lose some other slots that could be more useful. Like maybe some different silver bullets, whether you want like main deck Ooze or the main deck Grist is, I think, what I would rather have instead of the Thalia, right? Sideboard-wise, everything made sense to me. You know, we've already got some removal in here. We've got some other removal. We've got some nice silver bullets. We've got some big haymakers in matchups like the Choke and the Seeds. The Tower is certainly interesting as well. The Chasm, I guess that's also for initiative as well. But we never really got into that. But yeah, this deck is very powerful. Especially for a deck that plays kind of like a fair deck a lot of the time. But you are sometimes at the mercy of the top of your deck because we're not blue deck. And if your opponent can take away certain pieces, then you are in a little bit of trouble. But you have a lot of resources to use and a lot of stuff going on. You've got a pretty nice fair plan of beatdown as well as your combo. And you can Wasteland lock people with Ramunap Excavator, which is something I'm a very big fan of. So yeah, this isn't quite where I would go with playing depths. You know me, I love my green-black turbo depths. I like... This is a different sort of puzzle, right? So green-black turbo depths is, we have one thing we're trying to do. How do we do this puzzle to get that thing done? This one is you have so many different lines and different ways of winning the game. It's quite a different experience to the decks that I'm used to. Even lands is quite different to this. But clearly this deck is quite powerful. And even in the hands of someone who has played this once before, I managed to get 4-1 with it. Now, I'm not saying like the deck's just really good and easy, because it certainly isn't easy. I definitely think we could have been tighter here, but the deck seems strong. People play it for good reason. Tabernacle is another card that you sometimes see in these decks, which we don't have access to here, but I don't think I really ever wanted it, so that's fair enough. Did feel like we were sometimes having our mana taken out from underneath us a little bit, but I think maybe that just comes with experience, fetching the right things and stuff like that. So that might be more on me than the deck necessarily. But yeah, deck is good. I hope you enjoyed this one. It was long and there were some really good games in there actually. So really good gameplay and I'm absolutely wiped now. So I'm going to call it a day. So if you're still here, like, comment, subscribe, do these things. Why not become a member of my Patreon or my YouTube channel? Or contact me on Discord to give me some money and play a donation deck like I've done today. I've played something a little bit out of my comfort zone. It's gone quite well and I hope you've enjoyed it all. Thank you very much for watching and goodbye.